Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Progressive World. Hope you're having a decent day. So, the Progressive World is our weekly show that is dedicated more or less to progressive events and developments. And since last week we mentioned we're trying to not only focus on the US, but also on other countries. So, yeah, in this week's Progressive World, we'll just give you a quick rundown. We're going to have some stuff on the US, of course, the whole Walmart and Target saying that they're going to pay for for their employees to attend university. Also, Briahna had a relatively interesting debate. I mean, another interesting debate, you can say, this one on how the people in the African community who are actually rise up and become the creators and work in Hollywood and the entertainment industry. So that was very interesting. But yes, Sam, what else do you have? What else do we have? You have a bunch of updates from different countries, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure. Yeah, we got some updates on the what's going on in the UK, focusing mostly on progressive issues or leftist issues. Australia, New Zealand, and India and Canada, we're gonna try to cover a little bit. We just this week just tiny coverage of what's going on in those countries.
Very nice. And we also have the new tweet section. At the end, we'll go over progressive tweets, just a few. Just a few interesting ones from this week. Nothing's. Yeah. Okay. So Sam, I think we should let's start with Progressive Watch UK. So go ahead.
Sure. So you had I think it was a hot topic that everybody covered, that Julian Assange, the US government appealed the decision to not extradite Julian Assange to the US on grounds that he might commit suicide, and they appealed it based on this fact that there was a mental professional that consulted Julian Assange and basically gave them an overview of his mental health, and he or she, I don't remember, choose to omit the fact that he fathered two children while being in the Ecuadorian embassy, and the US government is arguing that his mental state is far from that of somebody who would commit suicide in the US state prisons, and the fact that he's been in confinement for 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy, that kind of proves it, that he's not going to commit suicide. So that was a bit of a sad development, because Biden administration seems to be going at it full force, just like Trump. And if a lot of people were hoping at least they might drop the appeal at some point, but they're not giving up. That's sad. And probably the worst part is that the real issue, which is supposedly freedom of speech, is not being discussed at all. They're focusing on this technicality because I assume Assange's lawyers they know much better, and they think that this is the easier way to get him off than other like freedom of speech laws or something like that. So any thoughts on that?
No, exactly. I mean, just like you said, the Biden administration actually had a very good opportunity to like quietly walk away when Assange was, by not appealing pretty much the decision that Assange shouldn't be extradited to the US, but didn't want to go that way. And then, I guess now they're trying to just get Assange off however they can. So free speech and all this have been understandably so pushed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you had I'm going to do a couple of tiny things, and then I'm going to sort of segue into something that you might want to talk about as well. So we had there is this initiative by the Labour Party members in the UK to they've supporters of I'm just going to read this from Guardian. Supporters of Jeremy Corbyn have drawn up an urgent plan that would hand party members the powers to reinstate the former leader as a Labour MP, because he got suspended from the party. He appealed that decision and he got reinstated, but the Labour leader Keir Starmer refused to restore the whip on him, which means he can't sit with the party. He has to sit independently. Now the party members are trying to put in effect this basically internal law that would make the PLP, which is Labour's parliamentary party, which is basically the MPs, make them more accountable to members. And somehow I didn't quite understand it, to be honest. Somehow that would give them authority to reinstate Jeremy Corbyn. And by the way, this is coming in the heels of Keir Starmer and his team banning 4 left-wing groups in what they call, they say it's anti-Semitism and hateful speech, but the left-wing groups are saying that that it's political. It's Labour outlawed resist and Labour against the witch hunt for anti-Semitism allegations, socialist appeal, Labour in exile. So, there is a ongoing war between the left and the right of the Labour Party, and it seems that Keir Starmer and his gang are not going to let it go. This week, he also said that the Labour Party should embrace Tony Blair, which is just like, what? Embrace the 1997. So
Wow.
Anyway, so don't look back, but embrace Tony Blair. I mean, this guy is just such a hypocrite, and he's if there was any fairness in life, his maximum level of power should have been maybe a sort of a morning show presenter, the type of person who has no backbone or no real political beliefs, just says the most cliche. Even BBC reporters are just like, oh, how can you be so cliche and ridiculously it's just genuinely, it's like somebody who's trying to make you like you. And anyways, so this ongoing battle is going to continue, and sadly, I watched on the War Meteor, they drew the comparison between Neil Kinnock was a former Labour leader who basically spent his life trying to and he does continue to this day. He tries to destroy the Labour Party and the left of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, Tony Benn, people. And there was another Labour leader, Harold Wilson, who managed to become prime minister because he put up a bit, it wasn't even like that broad, but it was a bit of a broad coalition. But these people, they rather, I think, lose to Tories than let somebody like Corbyn win. So in that sense, it makes sense for them. On a more positive side, you had I don't think the deal is finalized, but SNP, the Scottish National Party, and the Scottish Greens are negotiating a deal to sort of SNP didn't win the outright majority for the first time in 14 years, so they have to go into coalition government with Greens, and Greens apparently have managed, according to some reports, to gain some foothold in the foreign policy and all that. So it seems that Greens are doing well, especially because I saw Spectator and a couple of conservative outlets were very upset about the deal, about the coalition. So it's probably a good one. So you had that on the other hand, but then you had the whole, the environment was a big issue in the UK. All the outlets covered it and all that. The report we covered, I forget, ICC report?
IPCC.
IPCC. And in relation to that, I think this is not something in an interview, but it was, Boris Johnson was quoted as saying that, because Margaret Thatcher got rid of all the coal mines in the north of UK and all that, UK is a bit ahead in this whole environmental game, and that's because of Margaret Thatcher. And everybody was just like, for those people who don't know, north of England was dominated by the economy, the jobs and all that was mainly coal mining jobs and that type of thing. But then during Thatcher eras, they're not economically viable, so they close them down, which, by the way, I'm fine with, but they have no job replacement program or anything, and they allow these communities, which, the jobs were concentrated in cities or in small towns. So those towns completely get screwed, basically. And, these communities, some of them still haven't fully recovered from this complete economic destruction that happened to them in 1980s. So, the idea that Thatcher gave a shit about the environment is just ludicrous. Everybody was tweeting and sharing all the videos of her explaining the economic benefits of getting rid of these mining things and all that. So she never gave a shit about the environment all that. I would say it reminded me of an interesting character. There was a prime minister in Australia pretty much at the same time in 80s, Bob Hawke. He was a Labour politician. And I haven't looked at this academically. I've just read some articles and some movies and stuff. But he was he was a Labour leader, and he was facing major opposition. I think there were people within his family that were strong environmentalists and wanted to close down mines and that type of thing. And he responded, I think, in different fashion. I think he snubbed the environmentalists. But I mean, it was just interesting that, but it just reminded me of him, because it might be true for him, but something or opposite of true for Bob Hawke. But yeah, Boris Johnson just made the idea that Margaret Thatcher gave a shit about environment or trees or anything like that.
She'd be the last person, I think, based on what I've heard about her.
I doubt it.
But okay, really good stuff with the UK. And I guess no matter how stupid Boris Johnson is right now, it seems like even the next election, I doubt the Labour Party will be able to do much. So
there's a good talk that there's this talk that even the right-wing Labour people are very worried, and they are thinking of, because by the way, I forgot to mention this in the report, that his approval rating, I think, came below 25%, Keir Starmer. So he's just not popular with anybody. So I don't know. I really don't know what they're gonna do. And this is, by the way, this is after about 200,000 people who are Jeremy Corbyn supporters have already left the Labour Party. So the percentage of hardcore, let's say, left-wingers or whatever you want to call them, has gone down since a couple of months ago, or since he's come to power. But right now the Conservatives are looking very good.
And I mean, this kind of segues well in a way. I just want to draw a little parallel with the Brazil story I wanted to do. Is there anything else in the UK left?
No.
Do you have anything else with the UK? No, I mean, so I'm guessing some people are hoping for the return of Jeremy Corbyn, I'm guessing, right, as a way to revitalize the Labour Party, right? I'm guessing that's one of the hopes, would you say?
I have that hope, because I look at the UK history, and you have all these people who are leaders, then go to backbench, then they come back. Churchill, I think. I don't know if he went back to the backbenches, but anyway. So I hope, but I doubt it. I very much doubt it. Even, to be honest, the Jeremy Corbyn left, I forget her name. There was this girl who got very quickly axed he was the main opponent of Keir Starmer and the representative of, she has a 3-part name, I forget, anyway. But even she's not putting up they're all, it's so rare to find somebody like Jeremy Corbyn or John McDonnell who for 20 or 30 years just has one line, even though they have their own sort of naughtinesses, I'm sure, at some points. But it's just, I doubt it, especially because of this focus on identity politics and bullshit like that. I don't see the left at the moment just becoming a viable force in the UK, because half of them are just busy playing this game of who's what sex and what orientation and what color, and the other half are just fighting the right-wingers. So what can you do?
And so I mean, the reason I brought it up, because I wanted to kind of draw a parallel between Jeremy Corbyn, who is the hope of some people on the left, and Lula in Brazil. I mean, in some way they're so similar, because they are as popular as a leftist politician can get. So Lula right now, he's come out of prison and he's allowed to run again for president.
So we're moving to our sort of Brazil brief.
So Progressive Watch Brazil. And first I just want to draw that parallel between Lula and Jeremy Corbyn, except Lula right now, he's kind of where Jeremy Corbyn
far more power.
And was Jeremy Corbyn was 2 years ago, in the sense that, okay, he was maybe never that. Anyway, it's not like a totalizing comparison. They're just
not.
True. Lula is even much bigger and much more famous and powerful. I mean, he's actually been president of Brazil twice, and then he set up his protege. But then, yeah, he went to prison, and Jair Bolsonaro became the president. But now, a poll that, like one poll that they did in June, pretty much showed that if the election was held now, Lula would win, which makes sense. He's extremely popular. And just this is kind of the news that happened this week. So Bolsonaro was trying to, I mean, he backed this amendment in Congress, which wanted to alter the country's voting system and reintroduce paper ballots. So not in the sense that people would go and write on paper ballot. They wanted a receipt to come out when you voted. And I guess you go and give this receipt. And, he's saying the same things as Trump was saying, that, voter fraud and not without any kind of justification. And the election will be in a year's time. But, some are saying he's kind of building this groundwork that if he loses to Lula, he'll turn around and said that the election was not legitimate. But yeah, so this Congress actually struck down. So this amendment didn't
He's
pass.
going full Trump.
Yeah, pretty much. But I guess this was a good development. I don't think anybody in the left, in the Workers' Party wanted this to pass in Brazil. And, it would have slowed down the election process a lot, because I guess then he would have wanted people to count them or like double count them and all these kind of things. But yeah, the lower level of Congress, they have two levels of Congress. Apparently in Brazil, they struck against it. So it didn't pass. So that's off the table. And then apparently just the last related, yeah.
But that kind of works towards his narrative that they are sort of obstructing my return. They're clearly engineering the election in a way that I can't be. I would assume that's the narrative he's going
Bolsonaro,
with, right?
I haven't heard him twisting now this way, that the fact that they've struck against this amendment. Yeah, I think maybe that'll be, I'm sure he could use anything that happens and turn it into a narrative, but he was supporting him, and I guess his loyalists, they wanted this to pass and for this paper aspect to be returned. And right before that, apparently there was like a military parade right before Congress took this vote. They had like kind of rescheduled a military parade favorably, from based on what I understand, to just pass by the city and all this in a way, like, analysts and stuff, reporters are saying they did that to intimidate, the voters in Congress.
I thought, fucking hell, I thought more
because the military really likes Bolsonaro, right? He was actually a former member of the military, and apparently all this was done to then invite him, for him to come and see something on Sunday, like a training attempt or exercise of theirs. But yeah, I think
he was commando, if I'm not mistaken, or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. And I mean, Brazil's history, the military was the dictatorship until this last round of democracy came into play. So there's like a big history of that. And he ran on, he wanted to bring back the military in a way. I mean, he was saying, and this is actually my question for you, Sam.
That's before you go ahead, I would say, I admit I hate everything about him and his policies, but I kind of agree with his tactics in terms of like, if you want to change the world type thing. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, just had to admit my fascistic tendencies there.
Yeah, no, before getting my question, so just pretty much this news can be interpreted as another boost for Lula. Just, this won't be introduced. So the elections will be held as normally as possible in a few years. But yeah, Sam, you remember when Trump first became president? Then anything that was happening in any corner of the world, it was like, oh, populism is rising here and like a new Trump is coming up, right? Like every election, this connection was made. And probably the person who came closest to being similar to Trump has been Bolsonaro, and has really, and also been successful in actually, becoming president. So, I mean, not that 100%, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, first of all, I do think Trump and Bolsonaro and Duterte and a lot of
Duterte
movements
is a good one.
Within Europe, the Hungarian guy Viktor Orban. Poland. You see today they passed some media law that is further restricting freedom of speech. So I do think he reflects a real sort of trend, global trend. But I think Bolsonaro was, to my mind, because I followed Glenn Greenwald as well, he always seemed so much like he was an actual sort of fascist. He actually said, yeah, I want to bring back the dictatorship. I rather they tell me my son is dead than he's a homosexual, something. And by the way, his sons are just as awful as he is. I think they're in mayoral thingy in they have political positions. But so I always thought it was a bit unfair to Trump, this comparison, because Trump is far more of a, because he's more, in a way, he's kind of like Jeremy Corbyn, in a way that he's been 40 years, he's been in the Senate or the Congress for many years, and he's been this lunatic that nobody paid any attention to. And then just suddenly, because people are fed up with political parties, he sort of rises. So I would say he's a bit more, he's an actual politician. He was actually in the military. He's actual fascist and stuff. I think Trump is just more of an old, senile, slightly racist man who hasn't, like, since 1980s really hasn't.
No, I totally agree with all the differences that you're saying. But yeah, I mean, one similarity, I guess, is that they both say crazy things. And just say like the craziest things, maybe unnecessarily, maybe not, like really thinking of like Trump in the beginning when it was like so shocking, the stuff that he would say about Mexicans and, the wall. He was kind of the same, but you're right. He's always been saying these crazy things, Bolsonaro, except he finally got the platform a few years ago.
Yeah, and he was an actual politician. He was in the Senate or something for many years.
Not that means much. But I feel like his understanding is just like Trump, though. Like just like Trump didn't learn anything in that sense in 4 years. He probably didn't learn. Trump went in with the same skills and knowledge and just finished the job with the exact same.
No, I don't think any. I genuinely don't think Trump since 1980s has learned anything new. Like words, concepts, shapes, even. I doubt it.
He's mastered it, though. He's mastered what he needs to
master. The 80s,
yes,
he's mastered it.
He's still, yes.
But
he should be back in our lives.
But these are good.
I can see it. But yeah,
I hope. In a way, I hope so, because it's more fun. Although no, it wasn't more fun. He ruined the Stephen Colbert, which is, in my view, was his biggest crime. Like, all the war crimes, all the bombings, all the sanctions that are leading to people, all that, put that all aside. Making Colbert so lame was I don't know if you were ever a fan of Colbert Report.
A little bit at time. My parents were really into it, so I watch it sometimes.
Shit, man. It's just, I have it. Yeah, sorry. I just always end up having the same taste as like middle-aged or above people.
Hey, I'm the same.
You have young parents.
Okay. Yeah, true. Or you can put it that way. Okay, let's keep this show going. What do we have from Progressive Watch Commonwealth? It's a bit of a weird categorization, but just because we had Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, might as well.
And India.
Oh, India, true.
It felt.
Sorry.
And none of them was big enough, I felt, to do them separately, but hopefully we're gonna do a deeper dive, especially Australia, which I love. I mentioned him before. I love Bob Hawke and all that. So Progressive World Commonwealth brief, I suppose. In Australia, there is going to be further lockdowns, and these further lockdowns has led to the ruling party, Liberal Party. The opinion polls are very negative on the party and the party leader. So he's losing ground to the Labour Party. Labour Party is gaining ground. But interestingly, unlike a lot of countries, apparently Labour left, like the sort of right of the Liberal Party, is opposing the lockdowns. And that's one of the things that is helping their popularity. And Jacobin, which is a left-wing outlet, I'm sure a lot of you familiar with, they did an interesting article in that they argued that left has joined the right, but they shouldn't. They should focus on getting rid of the Delta variant that is ravaging through the country. So you had that development in Australia, which was, I've been trying to read more, but I'm interested. Yeah, if anybody knows anything like more concrete about this stuff, that whether lockdowns have been effective in Australia or have not. Well, either way, let us know. But that was interesting. And by the way, the Labour Party in the Australia is similar. It's not as bad as the Labour Party in the UK, but they've been pretty neutered, pretty much as well. So I don't know how to the best way of putting it. On the more international sort of thing, you had Canada, which was accused by Amnesty International of breaking the laws that it has signed up to in 2019 by selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes right there. Yes. The report by Amnesty International and Project Plowshares. The report is titled "No Credible Evidence: Canada's Flawed Analysis of Arms Exports to Saudi Arabia." They accuse Justin Trudeau's government of violating the Arms Trade Treaty (ATT), an international agreement Canada became a party to in 2019, and apparently the deal that they supposedly broke started before Trudeau, but Trudeau's government gave the green light. And then there's this whole discussion about the whole Canadian rights groups have been asking for many years for Canadian government to cancel all sales to Saudi Arabia, but Canada goes now, not before, but now goes based on a case-by-case that's their policy. They go case by cases. So, and they say they have safeguards to prevent selling weapons that could kill humans. So I mean, look, I don't understand this whole thing. If you have an arms industry, what you're gonna sell weapons? Unless you limit it to very local product like Japanese or so I don't understand. The people who complain, are you willing to go on fully with the whole get rid of the arms industry, because
I guess
there's going to be jobs and
I guess they would say not to sell to human right violators. I would assume this would be the answer, which it should technically speaking get idiotic. Rid of most countries around the world. I mean, I'm not for selling weapons either, so so I guess would have to go with getting rid of the whole industry. We'll have to go with that option pretty much, or make police batons and things like that. Even that.
I think these are type of fucking things and causes that have really niche attractions, and it's for people who's I don't know what they focus on big issue. If you want to focus arms sales, focus arm production and go protest that. No, you sold weapons to Saudi Arabia. Canada sells weapons to every country in the world, including Canada, by the way. They're all fucking. What do you think governments do? I don't.
No, so I'm not for it either, but I don't know what the solution is. I mean, you could also argue and say that the Saudis have been particularly involved in using their weapons in different countries and regionally, but again, other countries have been as well. And they're also one of the biggest buyers. So I guess if you go after them, you would really put a dent maybe in the Canadian arms industry. And I guess, but I mean, what's the end goal? I guess to get rid of it as much as possible. But do you want to do that? I mean, in the US, they said the Biden administration's objective was, okay, we'll stop selling to Saudis because of what's happening to in Yemen. Okay, now that that's not happening in Yemen, now that it's more defensive or whatever, we can sell to them. But it's a good point. It's a good point you're making. That
I mean, look, I agree with them on the policies, but I just think they use a very stupid tactic. All these organizations. I don't. There should be a word for charity and international NGO. Industrial complex or something, because that's what it feels to me, because they must know that I don't know they may play a role in the long-term thing. Anyways, but talking about weapons and the Commonwealth, New Zealanders are concerned about AI, how do you say AI controlled weapons?
Okay.
Yeah, artillery, whatever. So there are apparently New Zealand is apparently, I love how New Zealand is just living in this whole different world.
No, but wait, sorry,
we banned.
Sorry, AI, they're referring to artificial intelligence or something else? Okay.
Yeah, so weapons that basically eliminate the need for, let's say, somebody pressing even a button in a Texas warehouse to have the Iraqi children blown up. Now the machine does it itself. So, you just don't have to even see the video or anything. So I don't know how they work or anything, but it was interesting that, New Zealanders are just like living in this futuristic world. At the same time living in the past with all the sheep and all that. So it's fantastic. But yeah, it was interesting. They have a minister for disarmaments. I was like, what the hell? So yeah, it was fun. Yeah, he talked about it, and yeah, it was just. It's not an important story or anything, but I thought it was fascinating that first of all we have AI weapons. That's nice,
They need to take it easy. What for? What for? And Elon Musk is still trying to figure out AI cars. Okay, let's just take it one step at a time.
No, to be fair, I would. No, I'm for it. To be honest, I'm for AI in general. I don't think they represent any significant danger. I don't believe they're gonna reach singularity or transcend us or anything.
No, but just like mistakes.
Self-driving cars are much better. Yeah, but
I mean they're being tested, but it's right.
Mistakes.
Humans also make those
by
mistakes.
The way,
but
there was
AI
was
does not seem to be good at judgment. I don't believe that they can't make good judgments based on what I've seen so far.
I think they make much better judgments than humans, in my view, based on what I've seen so far. Like,
I don't know.
I give you two. First of all, like I think it was quite recently that U.S. government admitted that some of its troops just went into a school in Afghanistan, killed 40 students, young people, then had them sort of put them on each other and then drop them in a fucking ditch, sort of a mass grave. So, what alien technology can't do that or can't stop that. I think if you look at the track record of self-driving cars, they're far better than humans, far less accidents and all that. And by the way, you can control them centrally. Like the government can say, don't go above 80. And that's, in my view, a good thing. And I know, the big brother government is going to be controlling all of it. They already do. So fuck off.
I don't think there's any track record that you're saying at that scale that shows that self-driving cars are better. Because the scale of the testing is just so small. Comparing that,
I don't think it's that small.
And they can have issues happen, like based on what I've understood with the Tesla, is that things happen with the computer, and so yeah, I'm saying that humans too. Not
by the way,
I don't know which one.
By the way, that's a pet peeve of mine that we allow any idiotic 18-year-old human to drive a 2-ton, somebody who doesn't have any mental stability, as far as I'm concerned, or anything like that. And yeah, you want this 2-ton metal that you can run over people with and kill them? Go ahead, have fun with it. Just get a light. And in most countries, I don't think the licensing process is that good. UK is good, I would say. But it's just, I don't know. The whole thing. I'm on the side of AI in that case. I don't think it's like in the weapons.
I haven't been that impressed with AI or these little chatbots that pop up on websites. They can't do anything.
And by the way, YouTube does a much better job of suggesting videos to me than most of my friends and family members. That's another.
Okay, but they're not expert at suggesting. If they wanted to become expert at suggesting, no, they don't know you, and they don't know everything that they need to know. That's like a stupid comparison. Of course.
So but your pop-up, you mentioned the pop-up sort of things, and they're algorithm-based. Of course. And by the way, humans,
but that's a very easy one.
Customer service. Have you talked to the people working customer service?
Yeah, a lot of them they will get you somewhere though, much better than the little chatbots. But I'm sure chatbots don't represent like the best of AI. So I don't want. Maybe they're not even AI. They're like half AI or something. I don't know.
I feel like you are misrepresenting the AI community in a negative light because they are a minority that you're prejudiced against. So,
maybe.
And I still, I think the best piece of technology in the last 30 years is the self-checkouts at
Yeah,
supermarkets.
okay, I know we thought that, but this is not
Oh.
AI, so
I think it's
no,
I don't
no.
believe in it all transcendent AI. So yeah, like
That's
yeah, I
just
don't think anyway.
that's
No.
just like some kind
Like
of
the
basic
I
computer that scans things and adds up.
yeah exactly.
No, but that's not AI.
What do
Okay,
you
but
think?
AI is supposed to like
Okay,
kind of do something by itself.
well
Like,
it
it takes it to the
scans
next
you
level.
and then sees that you have a brown skin and then it blows you up.
Yeah. Now that would
The
be
color,
AI.
it
Okay.
scans the color.
Now that would be AI for sure.
If you're brown, which shade of brown are you?
Yeah.
And then yeah. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'm being facetious somewhat, but I do
No.
think there is some truth in my arguments. So yeah, sorry, but yeah, this
Yeah.
was not probably that important of a story, but we milked it good. And then you had that was a serious issue. Last week was the 2 years since Kashmir and their special status has been suspended by India. It was a very interesting debate because you had people from opposing sides, and I think everybody did a great job. As I'm kind of going, you had a BJP representative, somebody who was a member. I think she's quite famous in India, a member of BJP from India. I think she was a Muslim as well. So surprising because BJP is a party that is associated with Hindu nationalism so much. You had a journalist and a historian, and in my view, the journalists and historians were basically arguing that this is a travesty. This is a open air prison for the last 2 years. Everything according to every index, the situation has deteriorated for the people in Kashmir and all that, economically, socially, politically, in terms of, for example, he points out that about 500,000 people have lost their jobs. I think he mentioned life, like literacy, level of violence, all of that. But the BJP representative keeps talking about the fact that we don't have any more wars, we don't have any more, like, I don't know what she's referring to, because both the journalist and the historian say that she's basically talking nonsense and and all that. And it's quite interesting because apparently she's from that area as well, and she was before this thing happened, she was saying that she would be the first female to pick up a gun if BJP sort of push their agenda on Kashmir and all that. But now she was being very defensive of them. So the journalists and historians really sort of hold her feet to the fire and all that. It was a fantastic debate on Al Jazeera. So check that out if you're interested in the topic, I think.
Okay, yeah, no, very nice, very, very interesting, and just a huge ongoing topic forever, right? Kashmir.
Hopefully not. I'm more hopeful about Kashmir than I am about Palestine.
Yeah,
but I
sure.
would say, it's so annoying to me that things like that don't get half the coverage as Palestine, which in my view is just shows like even the left and all liberals or whatever you want.
Yeah.
Well, in Palestine?
No, not that
Kashmir?
there are much more people are just so involved and know about the Israel-Palestine thing. I mean, like I said, that's one thing I realized. Media
focused on
it, and I'm sure activists over the years, and the role that Israel plays in US politics,
American politics. Yeah, fair enough. I would say it's just if you know about all of these things, it would give you a much better global understanding. I mean, I don't know, maybe sure. I'm just blowing my own drum.
No, for sure.
But yeah, so this was this week's, I think, progressive world sort of country briefs. But hopefully we're gonna add more and more. But yeah, I'm gonna get more details. I'm trying to do a major deep dive on Australia and New Zealand, and it's been fun. But hopefully I'll get back to you soon.
No, these were really great stuff, really nice. But yeah, so we can move on to US Progressive Watch, I guess, or Progressive Watch US.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot the big baddie.
No. Yeah, you're right. I mean, because before we wouldn't give a name to it. It was just our Progressive World thing. So yeah, I didn't know how to go. Yeah. So for that, we have, of course, the Briahna debate conversation, whatever, with Damon Young and Bertrand Cooper. So we get to that. But before, there's just like people have probably heard about this, about Target and Walmart now saying that they're going to pay for pretty much all of their employees, whether they're part-time or fully employed, undergraduate program, as long as it's one of their affiliated schools and also falls within the special like disciplines. So it's not all the disciplines. But yeah, Sam, I mean, for me, this public university, yeah, go ahead.
Do they include like, I don't know, art history is one of the subjects?
Well, actually, I have a little, okay, let me tell you the detail of it. So then I think that will answer
that would be fun.
Talk about. So starting this fall, this is for Target, right? Target will cover the cost of tuition, fees, and textbooks for part-time and full-time workers who pursue a qualifying undergraduate degree at more than 40 institutions. It will also fund advanced degrees, paying up to $10,000 each year for master's programs at those schools. Okay, sorry, actually, this paragraph didn't have the answer to your joke question, but I did read somewhere else that they give, like, which is not much, like 5,000 or something like that, if you want to study in a discipline that they don't cover, so such as art. So they maybe give you a little bit of money.
Yeah, I would imagine like art or humanities. I mean, fair enough. Again, this is a company. They're not there to sort of educate people, you know.
No. And yeah, I mean, I think they have like they give like computer science and like management and these kind of things. I don't know if political science,
accounting, probably.
Yeah, if that falls under. But I mean, seriously,
postmodern Marxism. Do they have any courses on postmodern Marx? Post-racial philosophy
certificate. I don't even want a degree.
Foucault, why he was right.
Hey, that would be good. But yeah, I mean, this whole lack of free public university in the US is like one of the craziest things. I mean, after healthcare, I find this one to be just it should be such an easy win. It's not a socialist capitalist thing. It's just most countries have free university. I mean, and then, you know, it feeds into this insane narrative that I hate, that like some entrepreneurs, they push in the US. No, yeah, because they're like, university is so expensive. And, you know, so don't go to school. So they kind of play on that. Most countries have what? Free university, yeah.
Free university?
I think most countries, and most countries I've heard of or thought of, they have pretty much free university.
Man. No, yeah, but like Iran Free University, for example, Free University, there is an exam and there is like 10,000 places for 1 million people.
That's true. I'm not saying that they're not perfect. They're not perfect. But and I mean, you're comparing to Iran. Like, can you take another Western country?
Oh, okay. If you want to talk about Western countries, that's like leaves what, 15? Canada, Germany, UK, France.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, they suck, but not all. Western Europe.
Europe.
I mean, or like in Poland, where they give you a degree in like how to like dissect the Jew. Like,
I'm sure they have university. I wouldn't be surprised if they have public university too.
They have good public universities. They have fantastic public. No, I'm just saying it's not that simple that, you know, if free public, I think it has to be more clearly defined. And US has community colleges, which are super cheap.
There are community colleges. That is true, but
cheaper than British public schools, you know.
But they're not like a university, so they're like a level lower. I guess. They are universities, but I mean they're like a separate level. I mean, what's the distinction?
Universities in UK, public universities, you still have to pay a fee. I think for British citizens, it's about 3,000 to 4,000 per year. That's higher than any community college, I would think. Community college courses are like $50 or something.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, community college is not seen or perceived as the same way as going to a university. I mean, that's why it has the name. But I mean, I do just find that not providing public university, just like schools, to be insane. And they can be different levels. Not everybody wants to go get a bachelor in political science. So of course, there's all these traineeship and apprenticeships and all this that people can go to.
I don't
but
understand
accruing thousands of debt is insane for university.
No, it's not really insane though, because it is insane in a way if they had to pay it back. They don't have to pay it back unless they reach a certain income. No, unless they reach a certain income and then it's taken out even before they get the salary out of their thing, right?
They're paying back for it.
I'm sorry, but I mean, from what I understand, most of the studies are saying that about 90% of a student debt loan in the US is about $3 trillion, $3 trillion. And I think Biden administration is seriously gonna cancel it next year or something.
I mean, that was his promise, but now apparently he's not at all.
It's just 90% are not going to pay it back, man. It's not gonna.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able
why
to.
That's not. I mean, they do these things for political reasons, but they do these things for political reasons too.
The whole economy will collapse. Yeah, that's the thing. But I would say that I do feel like a lot of Americans or Europeans don't really understand that. Oh, you got a loan from a bank for university? How sad for you. Most of the people in the world can't even get that. Most of the people in the world, I'm not talking about West Germany and France and south of England.
Well, I know Brazil has also free university. I think India has free university. So some middle income countries, they also have free university. Now, if you're saying they're not good and all that, that's like anything else though.
Do they have a concourse system like France and Iran, or is it free as in enough placements for everybody?
No, I'm sure there's a way that you have to dissect between who gets to. I'm not saying it's a perfect system and people don't get to go to the universities they want. In the US also, people don't get to go to the universities they want. That's why they apply 5 or 6 and then they'll get into one of them.
I know. No.
I mean, I understand that there's testing and stuff.
No, but there is a, I mean, I'm not saying everybody should get into everywhere they want, but there is a ratio of, there is this number of young people graduating from high school, this number of them want to go to university, and there are this many university places, this many doctors we can train. And I think you having the education system that gives you loans in itself, and loans from banks, a lot of people had to give family loans to do a lot of shit, and that's far worse than getting a loan from a bank where you don't pay. But there is no debtor's prison anymore, so I'm sorry, but it just seems to me a bit of a privilege. Like, it's just in my issues, like in terms of issues, that's like the less than bottom probably.
Really? No, I wouldn't say that. No, whatsoever. Because one reason they give a lot of weight to it is also because
for 5 years, and then
what are you saying?
Like that's a system that was a trick a couple of British people used to apparently do. That you move
people who have like enough money to and able to like move to another country, which will cost thousands to do it.
It's not that hard for a European. It's not that expensive. I'm sorry.
For a European, I mean, it depends who you're asking. They suddenly need like 10,000.
There's no visa cost.
Cash. But there's a flight, accommodation. Then you definitely have to go move somewhere.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't understand where you're going with this.
You have to walk to the porch. Like, anyway, okay. I'm just saying this is in terms of like education should be free for everybody, I think, and there should be a place for everybody to study whatever they want. But in like right now in this world, complaining about, we get loans that we have to get paid back after we have like a job that we earn 70. I don't know I know the limit in the UK, I think is 21 or 22,000 pounds per year or something. After that, you have to pay it back. So it's just,
I mean, this is people in the US complaining about it. So it's not about the problems around the world are irrelevant to this discussion here.
Sure.
And a lot of people can't go to university or have to make other sacrifices.
No, but
coming up with this money, which I think that it shouldn't be. This is something that the government, through taxes and other things, can cover in a much better and easier way.
I mean, just stop one war and that's it. And I would say I'm just a bit, maybe I have a bit of I'm defensive on this topic, because I've seen so many people talking about the fact that, in the Middle East, in Iran, they have public universities. Of course they do, but when it only accommodates like 5,000 people out of, let's say, 100,000 people who want to go to university, then those people have to go to free university, which is degrees is worthless, and they pay money for that. It's not that
Yeah,
simple.
I
I
mean,
don't know about
the
Brazil or
system is
India,
not.
but I have a feeling India especially is going to be very similar to Iran, sort of, that usually that's what happens when when governments are as corrupt as some of them.
Yeah, I mean, the system is definitely not perfect. But in the paid one too, is you're not supposed to get to go to any university that you want. So that issue is kind of
Yeah.
there. But I mean, coming back to this kind of story, I mean, of course, don't want to praise Target or Walmart for anything like this. They're doing it because, I mean, I guess they're trying to like maintain slightly like I think they're trying to differentiate themselves a little bit compared to Amazon or something, and just show themselves as a better working place that kind of cares more for its employees and more long term, and I guess attract the best people they can within that range. I mean, if there was free university and they would cover all the hidden costs, now that would be great, because books, getting there, and all this. But I mean, yeah, still not a bad thing. And I think they were forced to I mean, they didn't force to do it, but they did it because it's to their advantage. So, but yeah, not the worst thing.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. It reminded me of, I don't know if this was ever true, but I've always heard that in Germany there is a closer relations between universities and businesses, and all these programs of like universities and affiliated with big businesses, especially in engineering and all that. This seems like the reverse engineered version of that in a way.
Yeah.
So it seems like a good idea. I mean, to an extent, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to give people political emancipation, but it's good. They get some technical.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, these companies at the end, they do whatever's best for them, just to bring us down to earth a bit. I just heard today, by coincidence, Zach from Vanguard, he was talking about how his grandma got fired from Walmart because she was approaching 60. So, I mean, this is how he told the story. So she gets paid much more because they do have to increase their salary. So they apparently just fired her over nothing, really. So just to kind of bring us back down to earth. But Sam, so I think now all we have left is for the end, the little progressive tweets that we're going to look over, just have a little bit of fun. But yeah, we've reached the Briahna part of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
We're already there. Right, so let's move on to the Briahna video. So just to make sure everybody knows which one we're talking about, because she's put out a bunch of great content recently. So we're mainly going to talk about the one that's called, "Is it possible for Black creatives to exploit the poor?" So it has Damon Young and Bertrand Cooper. And then there was another video that they did, which had a bunch of other panelists, and including Bertrand Cooper. And they talked a lot about the things that were mentioned that are the focus of this video, but also other issues. And of course, there was also Pascal on it. And yeah, I've kind of learned about him recently, and I really like him. So that's great. But yeah, Sam, so this is, before we get into, talking about the merits of the argument, I think the best way to summarize and set up the video is that Bertrand Cooper wrote an article in Where Current Affairs. It's really not surprising that this article was published in Current. It's such a current affairs article. It took me half an hour to read it, with Nathan Robinson. I feel like it just suits it perfectly.
Yeah. I thought you said you were surprised, but
No.
It's perfect for that publication. Yeah.
Exactly. And I believe the other guy, Damon Young, he's kind of just a bit like having a discussion, debating and reacting to this article. And in the article, he sums up his views kind of well in like the first paragraph. So I'm just going to read that. He wrote that a closer look at the economics of Black pop culture reveals that most Black creators outside of music come from middle to upper class backgrounds, while the Black poor are written about but rarely get the chance to speak for themselves. So pretty much he's saying that all the Black people that you see working in different parts of the entertainment industry, the more famous ones, including Daniel Glover, which they talk about a lot, they come from upper middle class, working class, but not like the poorest sectors of African Americans. And they come from there, but they kind of...
They don't...
Go ahead, yeah, add to it. Yeah.
They don't come from the ghetto or the hood, as they say.
Yeah. And then I guess the second part of his argument is that, but they still represent all parts of Black culture and kind of pretend that they have like firsthand experience, but they really don't. Even if your cousin is maybe like less fortunate than you and you go see him every now and then. These are kind of examples that they talk about. Really go and see him in the ghetto, like they say, or like in the projects, like they said in the podcast. That gives you a little bit of the experience, but definitely not enough. And yeah, what does he want? The Bertrand guy, I guess he wants that people only talk about their own experiences, really, and not talk about other experiences that they haven't lived firsthand. And he even says at the end of the podcast, he doesn't want anything to really change. He just want like these artists and
people to acknowledge
it. Yeah. So what else would you add, Sam, before we like criticize it more or like discuss it, or just get into your points? I think we've laid out the
I think you gave away our sort of take there, right?
I couldn't help myself.
After we start trying to crush this argument bit by bit, like a brick. I
don't fully disagree, just to put it out.
No, that's the problematic.
Yeah,
that's the biggest. It's like you don't even disagree with him. But yeah, it was a video about he wrote this article on Corinth first, and it's okay. I don't know. How do you want to start? I have a
just go about your points. Go about what you didn't like. I mean, the reason I say I don't agree I agree, it's because it's a very obvious observation, and I hate saying this, but you can say that about every single sector and race in the US and around the world. That doesn't crush his argument or minimize it. It just, I feel like it's something we should keep in the back of our heads.
So I have some problems with the. I'm gonna try to be. So by the way, I know I come off as sounding like a massive dick sometimes because I'm trying to get like arguing something. I'm not. I am, but I'm not that sure of my own arguments. The way I present myself is apparently people tell me I come across as very self-assured. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure about any of this. But I would say let's start with the small points and let's move on to the I would say, because there is something about this piece specifically written by Bertrand. Sorry, I can't find his name. Bertrand Cooper. And then I had a problem with the program itself in a way.
True.
And I kind of wanted to talk about the Joe Pascal Briahna debate about whether those Black people who are in the elites or near elites can be reached or not, or whatever. So I think it was, first of all, as you mentioned, why did you say it was very suitable for current affairs? Because I have my own. What was your thing?
Because
I don't want to assume.
The other article that I read, but Nathan Ronson, about Glenn Greenwald, unnecessarily long, picking on too many things that seem like unnecessary, irrelevant, making a general point that is kind of obvious, but then just going one paragraph after another that makes it kind of hard to even know what is the thread of the argument going through them. So it was, nobody else would have been able to publish it edited this way. Not that it was bad to read or shitty to read. It was just tailor-made for this outlet.
I think it was very badly written. I would say that, and I mean that again. I know I sound bad. I really do. It's not like I've ever written anything good. Yeah, I haven't written anything good either, but this is badly written. It has no structure. There is no analysis really. It's just examples, and then suddenly moves on from examples of BAFTA and movies and HBO, suddenly moving on to how many Black people are graduates, and then connecting these and all that. And I expected, frankly, from the interview I saw, I thought this is going to be a good piece. I thought this is going to has some statistics that, for example, people coming from Black working class only represent 2% of people on a screen that are Black, or something like that. There is nothing. He just focuses on a couple of people, and So let's start small. First thing, I think it was very badly written. You just think it was just that style. You didn't mind it that as much.
No, it wouldn't be my favorite, but I can just see that because of this magazine, I think they make people write this way. So I don't even. they all write
Nathan
like this kind of.
Robinson. Nathan
Yeah.
Robinson writes like this.
Yeah,
But I
true.
would
Maybe
say
the others don't have any.
it's just disappointing. I thought current affairs or whatever, this is going to be, if it's a left wing, whatever. Like, is there no, like, I don't understand why nobody gives a shit about referencing anymore. Nobody gives a shit about the
No,
structure.
you don't do reference
They,
in news yeah, it's so true. And like news things,
or
you
at
just go
no,
for
but
it.
have
Yeah.
but have a fucking abstract, put your arguments in
Yeah.
concise fashions, not just rambling on about, oh, this guy is Donald Glover has been taken, sorry, or Dave Chappelle has been taken as somebody from the hood by some people, but then some people didn't realize, and they've been, I mean, in terms of just a structural essay
Yeah.
writing, in my view, it was an awful piece. It was a piece like this was, by the way, by awful piece and unprofessional. I mean, for example, when I went to university, we were told you should have tried to avoid using I or sort of we as much as you can, because you're not, that comes back to the core issue I have with this article, because it's not personal. Science or whatever, as close as we can get to it in social sciences, whatever, this is not supposed to be a personal affair. We are trying to argue an issue based on his merits, and he keeps bringing up his personal experiences. And
I mean,
with all due
yeah.
respect, with all due respect to his personal experiences, I've been listening to Chapel Trap House, and for example, they keep reading these liberals, you know, shitty Clintonites or Republicans, and you know, they do the same. They keep talking about today, like there is this guy who talks about leaf blowers and how they destroy his morning. No, I'm so sorry, and with all the respect for all the people who come from very tough backgrounds, nobody gives a shit. No one, right? Everybody just gives a shit about themselves, and everybody's trying to figure this shit out, right? This idea that, oh, and I'll get into specific examples, but when I mean badly written or unprofessional written, that is besides the structure, that's another issue I have.
Okay, I see. Very nice. Yeah, yeah. Do you want to continue? I mean, I agree with a lot of what you say. I mean, the piece is very personal based. Exactly. It's kind of all about, you know, you don't understand this background that I came from, so you can never talk about it. But like, what's your fundamental criticism you would say of his arguments? What would be like your fundamental biggest thing? I mean, for me, it's this.
I have two.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would say that, I mean, yes, it is, of course, people who are from better, higher and better opportunities that are always the ones who make it to the top. So, I mean, this is just a widespread social problem. I'm not saying that it's, you know, we should completely ignore it or that it's not an issue, but it's not limited to the, you know, to like the Black community. And his criticisms are so individual based, like nothing is on the structure, as in, yeah, why aren't there more opportunities for people who come from even tougher backgrounds? That would be like another criticism of it. Another one is like, if you take the top line of his argument, it's not so bad, but he digs into it so much that makes it worse, that makes you feel like you can only talk about your own experience and nothing else. So I don't know what he expects entertainers to do, to just talk about their daily life. I mean, these people are entertainers. And I guess a third one I would add to it is that, you know, you shouldn't expect so much from entertainers and, you know, to do the right thing. What does he want to do? He wants like,
or anyone.
He wants them to like think of others before themselves, which is a great noble thing to do. But as an entertainer, I mean, what do you want Daniel Glover to show? I mean, his points are taken, they just seem very unrealistic. And yeah, those are kind of main criticisms. I don't know if I blended them all together a bit too much, but yeah, how about yours? What are your like top criticism?
Look, the top one is that there is a big issue with lack of representation of working class people, especially lack of representation of minority working class people in media. And that has many
100%.
issues. That's a big issue. Framing it in a way that, in my view, would put off most people of the issue. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze for a second, but you should come back. Okay, you're good.
Yeah. Sorry, you first.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We both froze.
Yeah. So Yeah, my internet connection seems to be going down, even though I'm not doing it. Sorry. Yes, this is a big issue, and this is an issue that, in my view, actually, like there is a lack of representation of working class people, by the way, in any, like besides in
100%.
work, yeah, in any major industry, right? Or anything. So that's a big issue, and that's actually the issue that probably can bring about the unity between these groups that identify as white or black or whatever they identify as. They can put aside that and come together as working class, and he's using it to, in my view, cause more divisions and internal fight among
Yeah.
the like people who want to, like, it's ridiculous. The only time he seems to offer a solution, for example, is that when he says, for example, Donald Glover and all that, they should reach out and have people from the ghettos and the hood in their writing rooms and all that, which is the most ludicrous. Like, I don't think he's worked in his life. I don't think he knows how, like, operations work. You don't just go, okay, I'm right. And I don't think he's ever, like, I don't know, again, like, fiction. It's just
No,
one
he's
of the
like, they
reasons
should
I
go get
loved
a
university.
TikToker from a TikToker from the ghetto.
Yeah.
I was like, what? How do you make such? I'm sure there are a bunch on TikTok, but I mean, maybe you've talked about some programs, to make sure that people from lower social classes also have
No,
access to
again, it's
opportunities or
no.
something. His
I'm
criticism
gonna
and solutions were so individual based. It was ridiculous.
I'm gonna do his argument, by the way, for myself. I'm gonna say, yeah, why doesn't CNN have me on as a Iran expert? I've been in Iran more than most of their Iran experts.
Yeah.
I'm an Iranian. Why not? Why CNN is a, like, this is ridiculous. Businesses don't go, oh, like, you need to have a proven track record. And when you're from the working class, it's far more difficult to have that, definitely. So it's just, it's such a good point from the left, being, in my view, framed in such an idiotic way, frankly, focusing on people like Dave Chappelle, the lady, for example, I forget her name, who was recently in a fantastic
what was
movie.
his problem with Dave Chappelle? Just like say what he said about Dave Chappelle.
That he argues that for a long time he was sort of presenting himself as a sort of a somebody who comes from relatively poor backgrounds, but in fact he's from a relatively well-off middle class compared to rest of black community and all that. And then they would sort of use that as they exploit that, which is, again, like, Dave Chappelle. Anyway, have you seen his show? He uses his show, basically use it to satire the exact misconceptions and all these things that media, like, he had that fucking great thing, Black American President, Black George Bush, in which he would put the Iraq war in the like as if they were bunch of gangsters from Harlem or something. It's just his whole work has been, I mean, I don't think he knows what he's talking about at all, like politically, socially, or in terms of even media. I've only seen one episode of Atlanta and I didn't enjoy it that much, but I don't think Donald Glover is not allowed to write about anyone but his own middle class experiences. And so Isaac Asimov writing about future, what a dick, appropriating future culture. This is ridiculous. How? And are we going to do, okay, only people who worked in mines are allowed to write about miners, and only people who worked in fields are write about field workers, and only, what the fuck is that?
I mean, if we're not strawmanning, so I want to add a few things. It sounds like we're strawmanning. We're not, because he even says that the other person agrees with him largely, and so does Brie, I think, in a way. But they're both like, okay, we're from middle class, right? Yes, but we went, we saw other parts of the African community a little bit. We're not saying our experience is of theirs or 100%. Everyone only has their own experience, but he even denies any worth in that. He's like, okay, you go for a weekend and you see them, you won't understand what they suffer. But whoever said that they will understand what they suffer, nobody claimed that. And I just want to add one or two more things before, because you said some interesting stuff about Chappelle. Go ahead.
No, because the thing you mentioned, somebody asks them in the other, it's not an interview, it's a panel. Joe Pascal is on it, he comes on later. Somebody on the audience asks that thing that people go, black people especially, visit their communities and stuff. I go, well, yeah, visiting your community is not exactly. Yeah, if you're poor and your dad beat the shit out of you, is not exactly the same as being poor and your dad loves you. So sorry, you can't write about anybody. Like, I don't understand what wants from people. Like, it's so, I found it, and that's, I'll get to my next criticism after your point.
What
that's
he
the
wants
biggest
from
big one.
entertainers too. He's not even talking about politicians. So I mean, Dave Chappelle is a character. He's a stand-up comedian. Don't believe everything you see on TV. It's not an accurate representation. What does he want to Dave Chappelle ask to have an asterisk after every joke or everything he says? By the way, this didn't actually happen to me, or this is not reality. The thing is, he's also attacking
by the way,
entertainers.
I had food too. No, I mean, I just wanted to point that, like, it's just so.
And sorry, can I add one more thing? He focuses on the show Atlanta so much, and we take it in his word that, it represents this, that, and this, which I'm sure it does, which Daniel Glover doesn't have any experience. But it seems like he didn't even watch Atlanta. Like, he didn't give any criticisms based on like a scene or a depiction. He didn't say like, Daniel Glover's uncle. I mean, that's so unrealistic and like stupid or something like that. It's like as if he never even watched this show Atlanta, which was one of the two examples that he employed.
By the way, which somebody points out, in Atlanta, he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be one of those black guys who was sort of a genius and went to.
He went to Princeton or something. Exactly.
And then he comes back and he drops out. So it's just he hasn't done his homework.
It doesn't seem like he's seen it. Yeah.
And
neither have I.
And by the way, he quotes James Baldwin, one of the greatest Black American writers, African American writers, who talks about this exact thing, that like there are different classes of black people in like 1960s. I think James Baldwin said that. Everybody knows that. Because you don't know that, or because you think other people don't know that. I'm sure there are some idiot hillbillies somewhere that think all black people are a bunch of, gangsters from urban centers. But no, most people fucking realize that no, there are all kinds of black people from all kinds of background. And by the way, why don't you talk about Key and Peele? Why don't you talk about Jordan Peele and two movies he's made? Two of the, in my view, Get Out and Us. Two of probably one of the greatest critique of like not greatest, I'm exaggerating, but he's middle class, and he's actually representing, you could argue, sort of black middle class as like more than focusing on the ghetto and all that. But then it's the whole thing is just, in my view, it feels like somebody who hasn't done his own work, somebody who didn't want to follow any of the rules. But that gets to my second biggest issue, which was he didn't receive any pushback whatsoever. Only pushback was the guy who was from Smart Guys, or I don't know, the institution he was associated. He had left it, but or Wise Guys. He said I don't agree with some of your examples. No, which is, of course, which is ridiculous. And we all, by the way, agree there is a lack of representation of working people, especially minorities, especially black people.
100%.
But that's okay. Good for you. 2-year-olds know that. Now,
especially where he takes it. There's nothing wrong with pointing out the obvious. It's just that the way he starts digging into it and the way he lays blame on like specific, like, every single. I mean, he's not happy, I guess, with the work that most African-American entertainers do. And the pushback, I mean, the structure was really weird. It's as if Briahna did 2 separate interviews because it would cut completely. And that guy was kind of pushing back a little bit. And I mean, he said the same arguments every time, but, I agree that I don't have the perfect experience, but I've gone and seen a little bit. And what do you want this guy to write about or do? And Briahna would kind of laugh every now and then, or like put in a little joke. But she didn't push him fully. But I mean, she also found some of his things ridiculous, of course.
And no, but this is the exact same argument, by the way, Republicans. You don't own a small business. You never run a business. You never worked the real life. So you don't know what it's like to pay taxes. If you want to go that's why I loved, and he tells an analogy about his experiences at university. He talks about, they were talking about black issues, and then he suddenly said, I actually come from black poor background, and it is actually very blah blah. And then everybody went quiet. Yes, everybody went quiet because in university was the one place that I was a fucking political nerd from very young age. And whenever people couldn't argue with me anymore, my grandpa mostly would say that, oh, well, you weren't alive then, you don't know the great things that guy did, or, and this is the same because at university, people got serious. People started focusing on issues, not their own personal dramas, no matter how sad or how awful they may have been, which is, again, has all the risk. You should pay respect to that. But that has nothing to do with this issue. I found the interviews. Joe Pascal, I loved, by the way. He had a great debate with Briahna.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I think he's awesome. I tend to be more on the side of Briahna in terms of tactics, but long term, I think Joe Pascal is probably right. But yeah, I just was very, and Leslie from Struggle, I forget his family name, from Struggle Sessions, I really like his work. I wish somebody pushed back against his complete, in my view, sort of arrogant view of others, that because they didn't experience something, they're not allowed to. Like, I don't know, man. Spielberg made that E.T. movie. I think aliens should cultural appropriation.
Yeah, I mean, his only argument to that would be like, no, I'm sticking to like socioeconomic things and people. But I mean, he just it's really, I mean,
By the way,
pretty much if you follow his reasoning, people should only write about themselves to the extent that he takes it, because he doesn't.
You're only allowed to write autobiographies.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, it's funny how his writing is that way.
I'm not
at least that article.
I'm not sure some of his arguments are even correct. I like a stand-up comedy and shit. I really want to look into the statistics of that, because Black community does great in a stand-up comedy. So I'm not sure if it's just because you like don't have a wide net. The great growing up, the best, like the stand-up comedian I knew the most was Richard Pryor. So, I don't know. I need to look into that one specifically, because remember, by the way, in his title of he excludes music, because in the music he does include music. It's going to be a whole different.
I only saw that in the article, because in the video he doesn't bring that up.
He doesn't not mention that,
which is very convenient. I mean, we were just nice right now putting it aside too, but I mean, the music industry is like, I'm guessing where most African Americans who are in the entertainment industry work at. I mean, the music industry.
I would say that there is a better representation of them there than other.
So fine, we'll put that aside, but it's a bit.
I mean, look, this was the first year university undergrad, your second year maybe undergrad essay that had no conclusion, that had no introduction, that had no literature review, that had no references. So, and in my view, would only cause divisions. I don't see what is his point. I don't know. See what he wants. Like, what it seems to me, what he wants is for Black creators or white creators to basically contact people from the ghetto out of the blue, see if they can work on writing TV shows right away.
A good faith under view of his thing. That's really a plea about poverty and the underrepresentation of poor people and them not being able to represent themselves in society, which is a very good point. But
he talks about why not focus on education? Yeah, talk about how education, the data he gives, for example, how much more Black people are unlikely to graduate with a bachelor's degree, and use that statistic, compare it to representation in media or in whatever you want. Do that. What is this nonsense about personal? Like, you guys are responsible for, you're exploiting. What are you talking about? Exploiting the experience of the British gentleman, Steve McQueen, one of the greatest directors living. He's a African British man. He made 12 years a slave. Was that exploitation of?
He wouldn't be happy. He wouldn't be happy with that.
And he's he definitely wouldn't.
I mean, it is true that of course a working class person and poor people have, and someone whose parents don't have a job, have a distinguished reality. But the way he talked about Daniel Glover, and then he was like, you thought that, exactly. Briahna said, she's like, Daniel Glover wasn't the son of like Puff Daddy or some billionaire. Yes, his dad had a job. He worked as a postman.
Yeah, and his mom had a job. Talking about Will Smith.
Yeah, I understand it's different, but the way I totally understand. It is different, but Yeah, anyway, I
And
think
by the
we've
way,
said.
I'm sorry. I know there is this tendency on the left to romanticize the working class. They are not
Well,
that
he doesn't
romantic.
do that. He doesn't
He
romanticize.
doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't. So that's true. That's true. He talks about the fact that they care about.
But no,
Yeah,
you're
that's
so
true.
right. No,
He
I
doesn't
mean, they're
romanticize
selfish
them. No,
fucks,
no.
according to him. I mean, Daniel Glover, as a young 20-year-old
Oh,
entertainer, should
no,
have
no,
been
no, no.
thinking
The
about
working. No, the poor. Let's say
yeah,
the poor, the poor. I don't think he romanticized them, but I think a
yeah,
lot of left, the reason why they don't
sure.
want to challenge his ideas is that they romanticize the working class as this, most of the working class, because they lack the education that they very much deserved, but was not given to them because of status structures, because they lack that education, they can't do that level of writing. That's just life. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, very
You
sad.
know,
Yeah,
yeah, I never went to like a school that had a good sort of a sports program, so I am far more likely to not be good at
yeah,
sports now. It's not it's not rocket science.
yeah.
It's not
And
and it's not fair, but it's not, you shouldn't attack people and individuals that
yeah,
have, some of them have overcame these status structures to an
yeah.
extent, maybe not as much as you want them to.
And
But
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
it was.
And if you're like, if you sell yourself in a completely like fake way, like if you claim you're 100% from like the poorest community, but you're not, then okay, fair enough if you're out there just lying
Yeah,
all the
talk
time.
about that. Give us
Or
examples.
yes, or if your misrepresentation is bad. Now that was the best. He should do more like a media critique to really make his points come out, pick Atlanta, watch it, and really point out, like, why is it that what Daniel Glover is doing there is so wrong. But yeah, Sam,
I
we
mean,
might get some pushback on this. I'm curious to see what
I hope so.
commenters think, because under Bree's
I don't.
video, they were like, yeah, I agree with Bertrand mainly. They weren't, and they were kind of,
No,
yeah,
no
they weren't.
challenges from what I saw.
Yeah, so
I
let's see
would
if
add.
other folks.
No. I would add, for example, like a lot of Middle Eastern, Iranian type of comedian, actor type of thing would always talk about that. Yeah, we get offered these roles as like terrorists or criminals or Mexican criminals, for example. And it's money. We do them for the money and all that. And nobody, oh, you're exploiting your brownness to,
Oh,
profit off of us. Like, chill the fuck out.
yeah,
People need jobs, people need to eat, people have families, and they don't spend their days like political junkies like us thinking about civil wars and exploitation of generations gone by. And you can't blame them for wanting to live a life. It's not a long life. They want to enjoy it a bit. I think the repercussions from these type of articles is that they're gonna, right wingers and centrists gonna look at us and say these people are fucking mental. Like,
well, I mean, it's in
that's
current
the worst
affairs,
aspect
so
of it.
it's kind of like the
Nobody's gonna
debates
look.
we
Yeah,
have
sure.
on YouTube.
Yeah,
No,
nobody cares. Yeah, I know.
nobody sees that. So thankfully, yeah, if you would have written the same thing in New
Fair
York
enough.
Times,
Fair enough.
that would be interesting. I would actually like to see some pushback on him. So I wish he had written somewhere else. But okay, Sam, let's move to the final part of our video, which is the progressive tweets. If you have nothing else to say, I mean, I could really talk about this video forever.
Me too. That's it. I would like to
Go ahead.
I want to just read this quote to say that seriously, I'm not trying to strawman him. I read his article twice. Maybe again, I'm not understanding the tone and I'm coming across as an asshole. But he, for example, he argues the degree of authenticity should offer some distinction within the field of Black art, but people will compare Moonlights to other depictions of Black poverty without even in mentioning the poverty of its creators as irrelevant to the appraisals of authenticity or representation. It is as if all Black creators are presumed to have equal insight. Yes, the work, they are presumed to have equal insight. You see the work, and based on their work, you say, oh, this guy had this much insight, this guy had this much insight. You don't go, oh, this guy was from working class background, so his insight must be higher, his insight must be better. I mean, like, look at this. Although, like Costa, there is a lady who, Costa is a Black woman educated at Yale and École Normale Supérieure. École universities in France are like Ivy League. Although possible, it is highly unlikely that Costa's life has prepared her any more than Baker's has when it comes to recognizing authentic emotional insight into the experience of being poor. Neither one has likely lived that life, because Costa was criticizing Baker for some artwork. What is this? Like, how? What is that? Give us the exact, like 3 years and 6 months and 2 weeks. You have to live among the poor and work as a fucking mechanic, and then you can write about manual laborers. I don't like. Look, it's just the way he goes. Like everybody he talks about, he goes after their family and their education. Like nothing about their actual. Like he doesn't say Costa. By the way, he's saying Costa is right there. Like he's also criticizing Baker, but then he goes on to even criticize Costa for her background. What you want? People that agree with, no, you don't come from the right background, man.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And you know,
so sorry if I sound very angry. It's just because most of the time when I argue with people, it comes down to, Sam, you're just too young.
No, we'll move on now anyway. But yeah, let's see what folks have to say. We agree so much on this video. And you know, one last thing maybe I'll say, maybe last thing I'll say is that most movies do have bad insights and they depict things that are not that accurate. That's why whenever a movie gets it right, they usually, you know, that's a big deal. They're like, oh, this movie is like really good. You know, it did a good job of representation. So, I mean, it's not like people get the representation right. That's not what I'm saying. But
that completely. And I would add that he, in the beginning of his article, I don't know if I have that quote. No, sadly, I don't. But he argues very early on that, you know, they assume the increased Black representation in media means that we are dealing with the issue. No, nobody assumes that. Nobody on the left assumes that. It's you and the liberals and the right fingers that think that way. Nobody thinks, oh, because there are more Black people on HBO, there must be Black people are doing much. It's like people who thought because Obama became president, suddenly racism is gone. No, you think that. Nobody else thinks that. Or maybe some idiots do, but nobody on the left or serious left thinks that because Obama became president or because Key and Peele got a third season for their sketch show, that means racism is over. You know, just he puts all these assumptions on you. And sorry, I get infuriated. Yeah. Anyways.
No,
but
you're
no
right.
disrespect. No,
but
no
Sam,
offense.
I have some. Okay, we're gonna have to do this very quickly because unfortunately I have to leave. I have like 5 minutes, so I just wanted to I'll just show the tweets quickly and we'll just mention like 1 second. So just open them up. I'm really sorry about this, everyone. So this is progressive tweets. You know, some of them you must have seen. So the first one, I just put it out there. Glenn Greenwald putting another passionate tweet for animals, saying that pigs are at least as intelligent, social, and emotionally complex as dogs, and how he doesn't want to be part of their suffering and torture. I just put that because, you know, recently you've been open to to maybe some of the pitfalls of your diet here and there. Your friend, Percy Meyer, spoke on the Katie Halper show last time. Andrew,
Mr. Cromwell.
Yeah. So since he said all that, I thought maybe just bring this tweet by Glenn. But
I'm genuinely trying. It's very difficult, but I'm genuinely trying.
Yeah, no,
because I don't care about like morally. It's even, let's say, no animal is as intelligent as a dog or as a human. They are still a living being. So fuck. Yeah. Anyway, I know what I'm doing.
And the torture part. But okay, the next tweet, Jed, this one might make us spend too much time on it, so I'll go quickly. But the Vanguard also dissected this and how it just reminds me of one thing. Cenk is like, social issues are really important and worth fighting, but maybe the left and right should put their social differences aside. And, you know, because they have some economic issues that are the same.
Tweet?
Oh, about this? I knew Glenn must have reacted because that's been his argument for the past 2 months or whatever.
No, it's just, I mean, okay, just very quickly, Cenk is right, obviously.
Yeah.
But Glenn and many others have been saying that for the last 5 years, and Cenk and TYT have been smearing them as people who empower Nazis. So yeah, 100%. It's just, okay, great insight. 10 years too late.
100%. But okay, Sam, I think given the time, we'll just leave this. The only thing I want to, we'll just leave the other ones for next time because got to wrap it up. Sorry about that, but that was really fun. And I love that we got at least through the Briahna podcast in full. I feel like we have to do it again. I don't know why I had so much fun talking about in
Yeah,
that
I
podcast.
think I'm gonna look into the data. I'm gonna do a serious. I'm not good at writing or anything, but I'm gonna try just writing one shitty article that has some structure. Just to
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
I don't
current
know. It's
affairs
really pissed me off.
is like alone in this. Not alone like the Atlantic. Maybe they do similar stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's just stuff. But
Atlantic is
anyway,
better. Atlantic
yeah,
is
no, I'm
right
not
wing,
saying
but
they're.
it's better.
I'm not saying it. Okay, let's wrap this up.
That's right.
Okay, people, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. More importantly, leave your comments, questions, and criticisms below, and we'll make sure to get to them. But if not, thank you very much, and see you next time.